Hello class, welcome to StudyWeb Academy, where education is without limits. Welcome to our English class, and today we're going to focus on what we call essay writing. So our main focus for today is going to be on essay writing. We're going to be looking at what is this essay writing, what are these types of essays, what is even essay itself, okay? So we're going to be discussing what an essay is, some examples of essays, how to write these essays, and even how to even identify such essays when we read them. So when we're reading an excerpt or when we're reading a content, right, we want to be able to tell what kind of an essay is this, or what type of an essay is this. So this is our main focus for today. We're going to be looking at essay writing, and even we're going to be looking at tips on how to write these essays. We're going to be looking at different ways that we can employ in order to write such essays. So welcome to class, and now we're going to be looking at what is an essay. So what is essay writing? So even before we begin, the first and foremost, it's very, very important to know what an essay is. So, and what essay writing entails, okay? So basically, essay writing is just a form of academic or creative writing that involves presenting a specific topic, idea, argument, or narrative in a structured and organized manner. Okay, so essay writing is just a creative writing method. So it's like you're writing, but in a creative way. And as you're writing, you're involving you want to write about a specific topic or a specific idea or a specific argument or a specific narrative. So with essay writings, you're specific about the topic you're talking about. So it can be a specific idea, specific argument, a specific narrative. And all this is written in a structured and organized manner, okay? So there's a structure in which we write essays. There's steps to follow and how to write these essays, okay? So let's say you're writing maybe about a certain idea or a certain concept, maybe an essay or an argumentative essay about whether school is better or not. That is just an example, okay? So there's a specific way or a specific structured way that you have to organize your work so that it can be termed as an essay, okay? So now we will look at these examples of essays, talk about them. And one thing we have to notice is that essays are common assignments in school, colleges, and universities. So even if you're here or the moment you graduate, go to the high school level or university level, you will be writing this essay. So it's a process that continues. You never stop writing essays unless you're out of school. So it's a continuous or a common assignment in schools, colleges, and universities, and they're used to assess a student's understanding of a subject, critical thinking skills, ability to communicate effectively, and the depth of their knowledge. So here, the main reason as to why we write essays is to be able to provide us, or us as teachers, we're able to assess your thinking or your critical thinking skills. We're able to even assess your understanding about a specific topic. So as teachers, we can be able to tell whether you've understood the topic or not, or whether you are confident to write a certain topic or not, okay? So we are also able to assess your ability to communicate. So we are able to see, whatever you're writing, can you also put it down in words, okay? So the main point or the main idea of writing essays is to be able to assess your ability to communicate effectively and just know your knowledge generally about writing, okay? So now let's look at the key components of essays. Like, what are the key components, or what are the components when we see in a certain writing, we're able to tell this is an essay or not, okay? So let's start with one important component we call introduction. So introduction is basically the beginning or the opening section of an essay, where you introduce the topic or issue you'll be discussing. It often includes a thesis statement, which is a concise summary of your main argument or purpose of the essay. So class, when you want to know, or the key component of identifying an essay is the introduction. So introduction, we all know what an introduction is. So introduction is just a brief summary of what you're going to be talking about. It's like an introduction, or sorry, it's like a beginning or an opening of your writing. So you want to tell us maybe what you're going to be talking about. So you give us a brief summary of an overview of what you'll be discussing or what you'll be talking about. Okay, so this is what we call a summary of the topic you want to talk about, is what we call the introduction. So any essay must have an introduction or an opening section that will introduce the readers to your topic or issue you want to be discussing. So we have something in the introduction we call a thesis statement. So a thesis statement is just a strong statement that enables the readers to know like what you're going to be talking about. For example, you say, on my today's essay, I'm going to be discussing more on the concept of freedom or the concept of poverty. Okay, so a thesis statement is just a simple explanation or a simple summary of what you're going to be talking about. So we as readers, we're able to have a clear picture or just an idea of what you'll be discussing. So don't forget that's the first concept for writing an essay, and that is the introduction. After the introduction, we have something known as the body. Okay, so in the body now consists of the main ideas. Now you're discussing these ideas that you introduced us to at depth or in depth. Okay, so the body of the essay consists of one or more paragraphs that provide the main content and arguments. Each paragraph typically addresses a specific point or aspect of the topic, and they are logically organized to support the thesis statement or the main idea. Okay, so evidences, examples, and analysis are often included in the body to strengthen your argument. So the body, after you move from the introduction, after you move from telling us about what you'll be discussing or the main concept you want to be discussing in your essay, you move to something we call the body. And now in the body, you want to talk about the main idea or the main concept in depth or at depth. Okay, you want to tell us what you're really talking about. You want to show us examples. You want to tell us evidences of why you believe something is the way it is. So the body generally is where the main ideas are discussed. So after your introduction, after telling us what you'll be talking about or introducing us to the concept, you now move to the body where you now talk about this concept in depth. Okay, so you tell us about this concept, and here the body is always very, very large, so you want to divide it in paragraphs. So each paragraph addresses a different point or a specific point. So for example, you're talking about poverty. Okay, so you had an essay about poverty. Okay, so the first paragraph will be the introduction, where you just tell us you'll be discussing poverty, what causes poverty, and how to eradicate poverty. Okay, so that is your introduction, just telling us what you're going to be talking about. Now when you move to the body, you want to divide it into paragraphs where each paragraph has a specific concept. So maybe the first paragraph in the body will be talking about what brings poverty. So the first 3 paragraphs will be what the causes of poverty. Then the second part of the body will be discussing how to eradicate poverty. So with the body, you want to divide it into sections or divide it into paragraphs where each paragraph identifies or talks about a specific topic. Okay, so that is the body. The next concept is the conclusion. Now we are from the introduction, we've done the body, now we want to conclude. A conclusion is just a summary of what you've generally talked about from the beginning. So it summarizes the main points made in the essay and reinforces the thesis statement. It also offers insight, recommendations, or suggestions to further study or consideration. Okay, so with the conclusion, we know what a conclusion is. A conclusion is just giving us a general summary of what you've discussed. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so with the conclusion, you want to give us the general summary of what you're talking about. So you tell us, in conclusion, poverty is not a good thing, and these are the ways to prevent poverty. Okay, So you're just giving us insights or recommendations on how to avoid getting ourselves into the situation of poverty, okay? So the conclusion is just a summary of what you've talked about from the beginning. So after the conclusion, what comes next? After the conclusion, we have something known as transition, and this is very, very important. Most of us do not talk about transitions or what transitions are, okay? But after your conclusion, you move to transition. So with the transition throughout the essay, you should use smooth transition words and phrases to ensure a smooth and coherent flow from one idea to the next. This helps readers to follow your train of thoughts and makes your essay easier to read. So let me explain further what transitions are. So transitions are the words we want to see when we're reading your essay. So as we transition from one paragraph to the other, we want your essay to tell us how we are moving, okay? So for example, let me give a quick example. For example, you'll tell us something like, first, I want to talk about poverty in the slums. Second, this and this. On to my third point, or you use such words. So there is first, second, you can use next. So such words tell us you're moving to the next point, or you're transitioning from the next, or you're transitioning from the other point to the next point, okay? So I know you know these transition words, and you can try to juggle your mind a little and tell me some of these transition words, okay? So we have firstly, we have secondly, thirdly. On to my fourth point, or first, I would like to discuss this, second, this. So such words, or my first point is, my second point is. So you see, such words will tell us you're from the main, one main idea to another main idea, okay? So we need to see these words. And as students, I want you to notice that this is very, very important and relevant. It's very, very important for us as readers to understand what you're talking about and to be able to get the smooth transition from your essay. So don't forget, these are the key concepts to consider when writing an essay. One is the introduction. Your essay must have an introduction, or your writing must have an introduction. Two is the body. Your essay must have a body, okay? And a strong body with several points to back up what you're talking about. Then three, you get to the conclusion. Your essay must have a conclusion. Then from the conclusion, we move to something known as transition. So throughout your essay, we want to see these words, these transition words and phrases. Phrases like, on to my next point, or my first point is this, my first point, my second point. Such phrases or such words like first, second. We want to see such words so that we can be able to move smoothly through your reading, okay? So don't forget about that. Now, after looking at the concepts class, I want us to now focus on something very, very important again. And now we're looking at the types of essays. So after looking at this essay and what an essay is or what essay writing is, we want to know the types of these essays. So we have very, very, very many types, and I will mention a few or mention most of them and just tell you a simple explanation of what they are, and then we will move to our main focus of today, okay? So we'll just talk about these types. So there are several types of essays, each with its own specific purpose, structure, and characteristics. So here's an overview of some of the types of essays along with the explanations and examples. So like I said, we'll talk about some of these essays. I'll tell you the examples, I'll tell you what they are and how to even write them, okay? So we just look at a few examples. And remember, how do we categorize these essays? We categorize them according to their structure and characteristics. So you find some essays have the same characteristics. Therefore, we will put them under one type or one category, okay? So let's move to our first example, the narrative essay. So what is a narrative essay? So we have one example here, the narrative essay. And basically the narrative essay tells a story or a recount of a personal experience. They often include elements like character, a plot, vivid description, and a clear sequence of events. So narrative essays just tell us a story or a personal experience. Okay, it's personal.